Trump to visit China in early April. Security guarantee documents are ready. And what we know about Russia talk of Ukrainian counteroffensive and real motive behind claims. The latest news next. US President Donald Trump is set to travel to Beijing for a summit with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in just a few months during the first week of April, reports Politico. Three sources familiar with the president's plans confirmed the information to the outlet. A White House spokesperson, however, said the exact dates of the trip have not yet been set. Notably, after the summit in South Korea in October 2025, Trump announced his intention to visit China in April. Last week, the two leaders held a phone call. Politico suggests the conversation was in preparation for the upcoming trip. During the call, they discussed a range of issues, from trade disputes to international conflicts. According to official sources, Trump said he and Xi discussed Taiwan, a topic the leaders had not addressed during their October 2025 meeting in South Korea. This indicates that the Taiwan issue could be raised during negotiations this spring and may become a key point of tension ahead of the summit.
President Xi emphasized that the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-US relations. Taiwan is China's territory. China must safeguard its own sovereignty and territorial integrity and will never allow Taiwan to be separated. The US must handle the issue of arms sales to Taiwan with prudence.
According to US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Xi may visit Trump in Washington or at Mar-a-Lago this summer. The leaders could also meet at the G20 summit in Miami and later at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Shenzhen, China. About Taiwan war threat. In December, the US approved the largest military aid package in history for Taiwan, totaling $11.1 billion. The decision is considered the most significant in the history of US-Taiwan relations. According to China's foreign ministry, during the phone call, Xi warned Trump that US arms sales to Taiwan could jeopardize Trump's planned visit to Beijing. In response to US actions, China conducted large-scale military exercises near Taiwan in December and January, increasing regional tensions. Washington, for its part, has called on Beijing to exercise restraint and engage in open dialogue to maintain peace. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has announced that international defense and security events are set to take place this week, reported by Zelensky in his evening address.
There will be significant international events this week on defense and security. In Europe, our position will be sufficiently represented, and the same applies to the United States. In practice, our negotiating team is working every single day on the documents and proposals that could deliver results at the upcoming meetings.
Zelensky emphasized that reliable security guarantees are the only real basis for ensuring peace and preventing the Russians from breaking agreements by launching a strike or hybrid operation.
The documents on guarantees are ready. There is no alternative to security. There is no alternative to peace. There is no alternative to rebuilding our country.
The European Union has proposed expanding sanctions against Russia by including ports in Georgia and Indonesia over operations involving Russian oil, reported by Reuters, citing a document outlining the proposal. Reuters noted that this would be the first time the EU has targeted ports in third countries with sanctions. According to the proposal, the sanctions list would include the ports of Kolevi in Georgia and Karimun in Indonesia. These would ban EU companies and citizens from conducting transactions with these ports. The measures form part of the EU's 20th sanctions package in response to Russia's war against Ukraine. The package also includes new bans on imports of metals, including nickel ingots, iron ores, and concentrates, raw and processed copper, and various types of metal scrap, including aluminium. In addition, it would prohibit imports of salt, ammonia, gravel, silicon, and fur.
The proposal includes the use of an anti-circumvention tool against a third country for the first time. The new restrictions would ban sales of metal cutting machines and communications machines for voice, image, and data transmissions, like modems and routers, to Kyrgyzstan.
The EU also proposed adding two Kyrgyz banks, Karamat and OJSC Capital Bank of Central Asia, to its sanctions list for providing crypto asset services to Russia, as well as banks in Laos and Tajikistan, while removing two Chinese lenders. If approved, the listed banks would be barred from transactions with EU individuals and companies. To the existing sanctions regime, which already includes asset freezes and travel bans, the European External Action Service has proposed adding 30 individuals and 64 companies. These include Bashneft and 8 Russian oil refineries, among them the Tuapse and Syzran plants controlled by Rosneft. The current proposal does not include Rosneft or Lukoil themselves, both of which are under US sanctions. The European Union is preparing a range of options for including Ukrainian's membership in the future peace agreement. This could be gradual and involve granting Kyiv preliminary protection, Bloomberg reports. Sources told the outlet that among the options being considered are granting Ukraine preliminary protection as well as immediate access to certain membership rights. In addition, other options are being discussed, including continuing the existing accession path or introducing a transitional period with gradual EU membership. At the same time, according to the sources, the bloc will provide Ukraine with a clear timeline of steps it must take to advance the official procedure. Kyiv's future accession to the EU is part of the discussion on the peace agreement, a European Commission representative said in response to Bloomberg's questions. The outlet notes that Ukrainian's 20-point peace plan draft envisages its EU membership by 2027, with Kyiv receiving certain membership benefits during an interim period. About Ukrainian's EU accession, in December 2025, information emerged that in the event of a peace agreement and the end of the war, Ukraine would join the European Union by January 1, 2027. Recently, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić confirmed that Ukrainian's EU membership by January 1, 2027 is part of the plan to end the war. Ukraine has also confirmed that the US peace plan sets the EU accession date as 2027. However, there is a nuance. The provision is being reviewed due to objections from certain EU member states. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz stated that Ukrainian's accession to the EU on January 1, 2027 is impossible. According to him, each candidate country must meet the Copenhagen criteria, which takes several years. Japan will join a NATO initiative to supply Ukraine with US-made ammunition and equipment, under which it will purchase non-lethal equipment and kit, reported by a Japanese state TV and radio company, citing sources. Several NATO officials told NHK that Japan is expected to officially announce its plan to join the initiative, known as Pearl, in the near future. Officials said Japan would provide funding only for non-lethal defense equipment and gear, which is likely to include radar systems and body armor. NHK sources said Japan had informed several NATO member states and Ukraine about the plan. One NATO official said even non-lethal equipment is essential for Ukraine, adding that Japan's involvement in the initiative is a significant development. For reference, Pearl is a joint US-NATO program launched in 2025. Its aim is to speed up the delivery to Ukraine of critically important US-made weapons and equipment. Partner countries finance purchases based on a priority list of Ukrainians' needs, coordinating their contributions through a dedicated NATO fund. The mechanism allows for the rapid provision of necessary weapons, including air defense missiles for Patriot systems, directly from US stockpiles. Previously, at the end of 2025, Japan transferred 8.8 billion Japanese yen, about $56.6 million, to Ukraine under Phase 4 of the Program for Emergency Recovery and approved the launch of the next stage of grant assistance. In January, the Japan International Cooperation Agency allocated 4 billion yen, $25 million for mine clearance and medical assistance for Ukraine. Russian mill bloggers overstated recent Russian gains and are now trying to use claims of a Ukrainian counteroffensive as justification for Russian forces, according to an Institute for the Study of War report. ISW observed numerous complaints from Russian mill bloggers themselves about systematic practice by Russian commanders of sending false reports to their superiors about alleged offensive actions. Analysts drew attention to claims by a Russian military blogger that Ukrainian forces are allegedly using fog, and Russia is blocking access to Starlink terminals in Ukraine to conduct a counteroffensive near Sosnivka and Novoalexandrivka, southeast of Alexandrovka, as well as Nechaevka, north of Gulyai-Pole. In particular, he claimed that Ukrainian forces had advanced toward Tarnovato, northwest of Gulyai-Pole. Another Kremlin-linked war correspondent said Ukraine Defense Forces had launched a local counteroffensive in the eastern Zaporizhia region for the first time in a long while. Russian propagandists claimed that Ukrainian Defense Forces fighters are conducting a counteroffensive, including using armored vehicles in conditions of fog and reduced Russian communications. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Ukrainian Defense Forces South, Vladislav Voloshin, said Ukrainian forces fully control Tarnovato. According to him, Russian forces unsuccessfully tried to plant their flag there to create the appearance of capturing the settlement. Voloshin stressed that the actual line of contact is at least 10 to 15 kilometers away from Tarnovato. As RSW analysts conclude, Russian forces and later some Russian mill bloggers likely previously exaggerated recent Russian offensive actions in directions of Alexandrivka and Gulyai-Pole. Now they are trying to use statements about the Ukrainian counteroffensive to justify withdrawal from forward positions that Russian forces likely held for some time. Yesterday, a spokesperson for Ukraine Defense Forces South, Vladislav Voloshin, told RBC Ukraine that Russian propaganda resources publish distorted battlefield maps that significantly differ from the official information of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. According to him, the Russian side is trying to present isolated provocative actions as large-scale successes or Ukrainian counteroffensive. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.